Welcome, everyone, to week 5, the final one of our Global Plant Forward Culinary Summit. I am Anne McBride, co-director of this program with Jackie Chi, who will be back on stage in a few minutes. While we miss seeing you in person, a silver lining of the summit taking place over 5 weeks is that it has allowed all of us, you the audience, the presenters, our partners, us on the organizing side, to build upon content, conversations, and features week to week, creating a layered richness that makes me believe more than ever in the bright future of plant-forward menus. Over the last few weeks, we've talked about what chefs can do to reduce our environmental impact, how to create more value around vegetables, how to take better care of our teams, how to draw maximum umami from plants, how to make great plant-forward sandwiches. We've reviewed the latest data when it comes to consumer habits and what gets the media's attention. We've been on virtual journeys to the Mediterranean, a farm in the Michigan, and throughout Asia last week. This week, we're looking at training and community building strategies to advance plant-forward cooking across the industry. In particular, we'll hear about the CIA Google Plant-Forward Certification Initiative and what operators and suppliers see emerging in a post-COVID world. Our culinary travels will take us to Ghana, and we'll cook and eat together thanks to our cook-along. Before all of this, I want to thank our sponsors who have made our program possible and free for hundreds of you here in Hopin and thousands more on our live stream week after week. We're incredibly grateful for the support of our premium gold sponsor, Unilever Food Solution, our gold sponsors, Google Food, the National Peanut Board, Nestle Professional, and Oatly, as well as our bronze, corporate, and media sponsors. We hope you'll get a chance to chat with them during the networking breaks and in their expo booth today. We have a new poll up for you on the right, so don't forget to answer it. And here's where you can find us on social media. Tag us and use the hashtag CIA PlantForward, and we'll repost some of our favorite PlantForward photos. To get us started today and talk about plant-forward training, it is my pleasure to welcome back to the program Greg Drescher, Vice President of Strategic Initiatives and Industry Leadership at the Culinary Institute of America, who is joining us today from Sacramento. Good morning, Greg.
Thanks, Anne. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? So for this last day of the Serialized Summit, we wanted to look at what's ahead for this plant-forward movement, and specifically to share with you a preview of our new CIA Plant Forward Certification Initiative in partnership with the food team at Google and in collaboration with Lobster Inc. We started this Global Plant Forward Summit virtual series by talking about its roots in the evidence base of our CIA Harvard Menus of Change initiative. The key learnings of that initiative are summarized in this infographic of 24 Menus of Change principles of healthy, sustainable menus that address public health and environmental imperatives, culinary strategy, and business insight. And of course, all of these resources are available on the Menus of Change site. In week 1 of this series, we released our new CIA Harvard resource document, Plant Forward by the Numbers. This makes the business case for plant forward innovation, from critical public health, climate change, and other challenges to a data scan of shifting consumer preferences to actual and impressive pre-COVID-19 sales trends. Now that we have a strong evidence base, growing consumer interest, and the passionate engagement of so many chefs and operators, it's time to focus globally on the next generation of professional education and training around plant-forward culinary strategies and techniques. Our need is not just for more recipes, menu innovation, or product development, and these are all important. We have to rethink basic skill building in the plant-forward kitchen. We need to take off the glasses that cause us to think that most high-impact flavor development is a function of animal-based ingredients, and instead truly understand flavors and the flavor development within the plant kingdom. And I should also add its cousin, the mushroom fungi kingdom. Think about these carrots. Maybe they're locally harvested. Maybe they're especially sweet and flavorful. But to get to an end result like this plate of deliciously, perfectly roasted carrots with North African spices or other spice roasted vegetables, there are all kinds of culinary potholes to avoid. We've all experienced them. Cooked carrots that are hard, dry, and undercooked, or overcooked and mushy, or poorly seasoned, or barely caramelized. Long in promise, short in delivery. The challenge of winning over millions of mainstream diners with plant-forward flavors points to this example times 1,000. And that is why we are very excited to be partnering with the food team at Google to develop and launch in the next few months our CIA Plant-Forward Certification Initiative, both for Google's global workforce as well as for the larger industry. Both the CIA and the food team at Google share a singular focus on deliciousness as critical to being able to scale change in our collective food preferences. And with that, it's my great pleasure to welcome to the stage a good colleague and friend, Michael Bacher, Director of Google's Workplace Services Program, including its legendary food program. Michael.
Thank you so much, Greg. And good day, everybody, wherever you might be. It is great to chat with you from sunny California in probably unprecedented times. What I love about the conference, the summit, and the time together today is that the CIA and the Culinary Institute of America have a deep shared understanding that our existing food systems, whether they might be at a local, national, or global level, are not sustainable, both from a public health perspective and from an environmental health perspective. There are so many challenges with the way we produce and consume food today. But I'm an optimist, and therefore each and every challenge presents a new opportunity for individuals, for teams, for organizations. I truly believe that over the last 5 weeks, you've heard all about the challenges. Let's talk a little bit about what can we do together to make a difference. The food team at Google has a deep belief that it can do more than just serve those who work in our environment on a daily basis. We want to contribute to feeding the world sustainably and responsibly by building upon our two unique elements, our Food at Work program leadership, as well as the unique Alphabet ecosystem that we're a part of. So thinking about our broader aspiration, truly grounded in moonshot thinking. In our organization, we like to get involved with and think about these big, hairy, audacious goals, incredibly difficult to address, but if you're successful, you can truly make a difference. So what might be those moonshots in food? We call those the food shots. And one of them is, how might we contribute to shifting diets to a significantly more balanced plant-forward approach? Delicious plant-forward dishes, nutrient-dense, yummy, flavorful, but how do you go about that? So over the years, we've actually been working on that question with great partners like the Culinary Institute of America, but others as well. And I think it has been a fascinating journey, and we're clearly not there yet. What started a number of years ago was really about, might we just provide more information to our consumers and say, if you eat more vegetables, it's going to be so much better for you and for the planet. And we realized really, really quickly that it really doesn't work that way. There are so many variables that come into play over here. So we moved from just providing more education and more information to really to think through what else should we be thinking of as a large-scale operator. We partnered with great partners like the Yale School of Management to come up with our behavioral sciences approach, food choice architecture. With the World Resources Institute, we partnered on their Better Buying Lab. And that organization published earlier this year 23 great behavioral strategies to help individuals to eat and enjoy more plant-rich forward dishes. We've been on a journey. Jane Black wrote about our journey, how Google got its employees to eat their vegetables on Medium earlier this year. I think it's a great description of all the things we have learned, the successes and the many failures as well. And I would say, as of today, when we think about how do we get our workforce and how do we get our overall populations to eat more plant forward, we've come to the realization that there is not one solution that does it all. You have to think about your menu management approach. You have to think about your culinary strategies. You have to think about what products to offer and which one not. Your protein strategy. But what we realized, and that's why I'm so excited to continue to partner with the Culinary Institute of America, is that culinarians, chefs, really, truly make the difference. If we can enable and equip culinarians with the skill sets, the appetite, the insights, and the knowledge to cook those delicious plant-forward dishes that are flavorful, that are being loved by users, consumers all over the world, then the rest will follow. In the conversations with the CIA and in conversations with our great partners, Bon Appetit, Guggenheimer, Sodexo, we realized that there aren't that many great training programs out there that really address the needs of how do you really prepare and cook and serve those delicious plant-forward dishes. So we asked the question to the CAA, what if? What if you would develop a training program that is accessible for line associates, the frontline cooks, those who really make it happen on a daily basis, the sous chefs, as well as the executive chefs? Might we jointly create a program that is scalable, that is accessible to all, and then promote it so all of people can use it? So that's what we have done. And I'm so excited to hand it over to Mark, who's going to share with you a little bit more about what the CAA has done so far and what is coming to you in the near future. Mark.
Hey, good day, everyone. It's exciting to be here, exciting to be sharing the stage with Michael. And I can only tell you that we have been on an incredible learning journey together because this was a unique opportunity for the CI to, for the first time, probably in the history of our organization, which now goes back almost 75 years, to really, with a very powerful and very globally aware organizations such as Google, to ask those questions as Michael just spoke. What if we had a chance to really go back to ground zero and rethink how it is that we prepare young cooks to be not only productive in what they do in their kitchens, but how do they apply their craft in a way that brings vegetables to the forefront and allows them to shine in the way that they deserve to, and supports the concept of the menus of change principles, as Greg described earlier. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about some of the goals that we saw as we were building this program, and then talk a little bit about the delivery, and then show you a brief video that will give you a little teaser as to what the learning environment is that we have created. So first of all, we wanted to develop a program that would be applicable to a variety of settings, global in its perspective, and especially meaningful to high volume environments, because the reality is that while there's lots of great things that could be done in small settings and small operations, the need is so vast that to be able to do this and to be able to deliver a program that can be applied in volume food service seemed to be really critical. And obviously, Google as an organization has a tremendous volume and is very global in its reach. We also wanted to make sure that not only were we developing training outcomes, but we wanted to make sure that as we delivered these training outcomes, that the individuals really understood the reason why balanced plant-forward cuisine was so important, and not only learned how to apply it, but also embraced it, because in so many environments, the people who are preparing the food come in direct contact with the individuals that they're serving and have a tremendous opportunity to influence the attitudes and the degree with which a customer accepts a new approach to food, something that they may not have tried before. So we thought that this ability to bring the idea of embracing this cuisine approach was very important, even at the level of a line cook. We also saw it as a chance really to redefine what are the core culinary fundamentals that a young cook needs to know as they enter into a career that leads them to the future rather than looking backward to the past. And so essentially this was a chance for the CIA, working with Google and its vendor partners, to really kind of reset the stage as to what is important and to rethink culinary education from the bottom up. So in doing so, we took our approach all the way back to the very roots of cooking. And in fact, we in this program begin by exploring with the learners, asking questions such as, why do we cook? How does heat transfer from a source to a food item? And how does it transform food in terms of its flavor, the availability of nutrients, and why that's important? And so it's not just the ability to apply, but the understanding that goes beyond just application. We also took a look at, as in oftentimes is taught in culinary education, the concepts of culinary techniques that are primary or the fundamentals of cuisine, things such as roasting, grilling, sauteing, even braising. And rather than using a meat-based protein as the application, we teach these techniques through the lens of using it with vegetables and still allowing meat-based proteins to play a role, but in a supporting role rather than taking the center stage where we leave that for the vegetables to be the subject by which we teach and deliver these techniques at a foundational level. We also, in thinking about how we approach the cuisine in this program, we wanted to rethink how do we structure and teach cooking. And so I think many of us who have studied the culinary arts for years understand that there are classical principles. And when we say classical, we oftentimes think of them as classical as in defined by the French technique. And so in looking at this program, we wanted to make sure that we utilize the idea of a hierarchy of cuisine and structure to teaching cooking, but not limited just to a French technique and actually going global. And so, for instance, we're redefining what the concept of what a mother sauce is in this program, such as instead of teaching the traditional French mother sauces, we take and we approach these sauces as the idea of it being a benchmark sauce, which then becomes a platform for creativity. So, for example, teaching something such as pesto genovese, which is a dish and a sauce that's used many times, and it's a fabulous approach to preparing great flavors using basil and olive oil and garlic. And of course, that technique is one that not only produces a great sauce as in the pesto genovese, but also creates a wonderful platform for creativity that can be used to a whole host of different pounded herb sauces that can be approached using what we learn about pesto genovese, but applied to other herbs and other sauces and other dishes. And we do that with other platform sauces such as nuoc cham or aioli or raita or chutney. So using these sauces as individual benchmarks first, but also then creating them or treating them as platforms for creativity. And so throughout the program, as we have sort of rethought from the ground up as to what it is we're trying to accomplish, we're really enforcing the fact that food is global and deliciousness is global. And as we look at that, it's using vegetables to really allow that deliciousness to come forward and to create a whole new arena for creativity. So in terms of delivery, certainly with the support of Google, which is a global organization, and the power and recognition that they have of what technology can do to transform approaches, we saw this as an important opportunity for us as well. And so we have teamed up with our global partner in distance delivery in education, which is Lobster Inc. And we have developed this program in a way that allows us to not only do training, but also to allow this to be an approach to bringing a new environment to a kitchen where it's an opportunity to create a learning organization within the kitchen environment. And so in doing so, we've decided to not only use this program to prepare and train the line level cooks, but also the individuals that supervise them in sort of a symbiotic relationship between those two layers of the organization, and bringing the excitement to plant forward cuisine forward, but also to re-engage the idea of what something has been lost in our environments for some time, which is this idea of what a mentor does in the development of a young cook. And so this program is being delivered simultaneously at 2 levels. First of all, for the line level cooks, meaning prep cooks and line cooks and those individuals, and simultaneously a slightly different program geared towards the culinary supervisors, which oftentimes are sous chefs or kitchen or station leads in the organization. So for the line level cooks, our program has really been designed to be delivered in a asynchronous distance delivery environment. It is being delivered on the platform that many young people and pretty much at every stage of career and every stage of life carry in their pocket, which is a smart device. And so using the Lobster Inc. platform, we have developed a very immersive learning environment that can be delivered directly to somebody's device that they carry in their pocket. No need to have dedicated workstations or access to expensive computers. This is something that can be accessed at work or wherever they can find an internet connection. So through this, cooks can access this immersive learning platform through their phone. It's a series of videos. It includes learning reinforcements, self-guided quizzes and assessments. But there's also very purposeful engagements that are established all through the program that are designed to create an opportunity on that learning journey for that young cook to be active in conversations and explore in discussions with their supervisor the concepts that they're learning. And this environment of creating connectivity between the line level cook and the supervisors, we think is really important to create this excitement and enthusiasm for learning together and to create a learning journey and a learning environment. So supervisors, simultaneous to the cooks that are learning through this access to the asynchronous learning, supervisors are placed on a parallel but an enhanced learning path. It begins with a series of residency experiences where these individuals gather together and they will work together to learn together, but not learning just about cooking, but learning some really important concepts to reinforce this program, such as what does it mean to be a mentor, and how does one interact with a young cook to provide them with the constructive critique to help them grow as a culinarian and as a professional. It also allows for reestablishing, this idea of how does one go deeper into the concepts of nutrition, the environmental sciences, concepts such as choice architecture strategies, as well as exploring a deeper understanding of the world of food from a global perspective. And so along with these experiences, access to distance learning, the participation in these residencies, we see that the supervisors are actually given an opportunity to rejuvenate a career that oftentimes might be at mid-career stage, and to allow them to sort of re-excite themselves about learning, re-excite themselves about why they have gotten into this career field, and really to bring a sort of purpose to their work that oftentimes begins to seem to be needing a little bit extra jolt. And so we think that these residencies and the opportunity for these learning environments to enhance that along with the young cooks that they're supervising creates an environment that is unique and we believe will be transformative and really allow the concept of a learning journey together to bring plant forwards to a level of deliciousness in even the most demanding and highest volume environments is quite possible. So in terms of taking a look at what the different core subjects are of the curriculum, we're obviously looking at nutrition science. We're looking at vegetables at scale. We take a look at things such as choice architecture, which is oftentimes connected to behavioral change and the science of choice. We also are taking a look at things such as global cuisines and looking not just at global cuisines from a macro sense, but getting into global cuisines to really pull out and understand why do global cuisines oftentimes create an opportunity to really understand great deliciousness from relatively meager resources, oftentimes based on plant foods with relatively little access to meat-based proteins. And of course, understanding the food systems themselves and the ethics around foods and the vision for the food system that we need to have in place in order to feed the planet when we get to the year 2050. So with that, I'd like to share with you just a brief clip to tease you into kind of what the rich learning environment that we've created for this program, and we'll be rolling out beginning with our partners at Google over the next several months, and hopefully across the globe soon.
So you might ask the question, considering everything that is happening around the world, should we wait? I think the answer is absolutely not. Now is the time to really go all out with Plant Forward. There's such a clear need to get this done. Environmental health, public health, and it's just tasty. It is flavorful. I am so grateful for the work done by the CIA, by our great partners, Compass, Bon Appetit, Guggenheimer, all the partners we've worked with around the world to get this training program to where it is. I hope you're going to use it the moment it gets released to all of us. Thank you, and let's go Plant Forward.
Thank you so much, Michael. We'll be seeing you back in a little bit, so we'll give you a little breather now. And thank you to Mark as well for walking us through this exciting new training platform. We'll be jumping into our next session in just a bit, but before we do, let's take a peek at the poll results, where we asked you what your priorities for back-of-house training are or will be when you reopen, and who you're looking to run those trainings. It looks like right now, safety and sanitation, no surprise, is what you're going to be focusing on for back-of-house trainings. And it does look like the majority of people, the overwhelming majority of people, are going to be turning to their internal teams for those trainings. So if you haven't voted yet in your poll or let us know what you're thinking of, please put your responses over in the poll section. Our next session is going to take a closer look at something we've been discussing more broadly over the past few weeks, how suppliers and operators have been working together to nonetheless move Plant Forward, even amidst a completely changed business landscape. To kick things off, we wanted to bring it back to the farm and hear how those directly involved with producing our food are navigating these new realities. Derek Azevedo is Executive Vice President of Bulls Farming Company, a sixth generation, 160-year-old, 12,000-acre diversified farm in the San Joaquin Valley of California. Let's hear his perspective on Plant Forward in the post-COVID-19 era.
Hi everyone, I'm Derek Azevedo of Bulls Farming Company and Heritage Onions here in Los Banos in the Central Valley of California. I'm standing in an onion field today that was planted back in February, and this is a really good example of one of those fields that we had to modify a little bit in order to react to the global pandemic of COVID. And this year we had scheduled to run 100% of our fresh market onions into 25 and 50 pound sacks that would primarily serve the food service industry. And about the middle of April, maybe the 10th of April, our partner from Oahe, Shay Myers, called us up and said, hey, you know what? Food service is down and we're now going to pack retail. And so in about 4 weeks time, we put together 4 retail lines and we switched most of our packing from going into large 50 pound and 25 pound sacks into small 3, 5, 7 and 10 pound sacks to serve a totally different customer. And so that was a pivot that we had anticipated doing, but we didn't anticipate doing it till 2022. And so here at the field level, it also changes because the food service customer generally prefers a larger super colossal or colossal onion, whereas retail prefers the jumbos and medium-sized fruit. And so when we come into a field like this, we're modifying our irrigation practices and we're trying to keep the sizing profile just a little bit smaller than we normally would to serve that different customer. But that's what we do. Farmers are quick to react, and we try to be really, really proactive about serving the needs of any of our customers. But when you start talking about the differences in sizing and the different size profiles in not just onions, but watermelons, cantaloupes, you name it, the opportunity presents itself for food waste. And it's something to think about when, a lot of the most common question I get as a farmer is, what are you doing about food waste? And in my opinion, when there's wasted food in an agricultural field, it's already been wasted. The one thing I would like to challenge everybody in the supply chain to think about is the food waste starts with specs. If you ask for cantaloupes that are all the exact same size, we're dealing with a living plant that produces a wide variety of fruit in the field. And when we narrow down our specs, we inherently create food waste by excluding some good food that just certainly doesn't fit a size profile that maybe is a little bit more convenient to work with, or maybe just a little bit more familiar. And so I really want to challenge every stake in the supply chain to try to be as nimble as possible and as nimble as farmers, and try to be creative about how we proactively forecast what to plant, when to plant, and how to acquire that fruit. And many times at the end of March and the first 2 weeks of April, those are the 2 most important weeks we have in planting here on the farm. And in many ways, I felt like I was in a bit of a vacuum trying to make a decision. Do I plant? Do I not plant? Do you plant more acres? Do you plant less? Our food buyers were all in the same boat. And so I want to welcome the invitation to anybody in the supply chain to come work directly with some of the farmers. Let's improve and work with some smart contracts to go ahead and solve some of that food waste before it gets planted. Thanks, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Derek, for sharing your perspective with us. Farming has never been an easy job, and we appreciate what you do more than ever. We are now going to look at the future of Plant Forward from a supplier perspective, which includes how building community can advance the Plant Forward movement. We are pleased to have with us 2 CIA partners who will each share case studies of resources suppliers can offer in times like these, when everything we know is turned upside down overnight. You met our first presenter on week 3 of the program when she moderated a powerful panel on how to better care for our teams. It is my pleasure to welcome back Enav Geffen, Corporate Executive Chef for Unilever Food Solutions.
We're all in this together. We're here for you.
Hi, my name is Menno van der Eyck, and on behalf of Unilever Food Solutions North America, I'm happy to share our work in supporting our operators with delivery and takeout. As these unprecedented times for everyone in food service are requiring us to think differently and to find new ways to remain in business, so we have done as UFS. And we are proud to deliver this support as we are in this together. In this video, we show you how we have pivoted to delivery and takeout, and how we've established a unique partnership with DoorDash, and how this helped our customers like Blackbeard Diner, who will share in this video how their sales tripled through off-premise. So let me share in a nutshell what we as UFS did before I'm handing over to Joe, CMO of Black Bear Diner. And this program we have run with multiple customers and is really simple. And although we were the first as food service manufacturer, sure many will follow. We have co-funded a campaign for Black Bear in form of advertising dollars that they spent directly on DoorDash delivery app. This directly fueled growth, incremental growth, and we felt it's the best way to capture the huge influx of consumer traffic on the delivery apps today and drive this to their online delivery menu. DoorDash then, who has restaurant account managers, created the right marketing program with Black Bear, and UFS was involved too, for providing some support where needed. And these were sometimes simple things like assets for the online menu, but very important to be noticed by guests. The goals were obvious: drive reach with new guests and increase the orders, as well as increasing ticket price by promoting the family meals. These are the examples that strengthen our partnership. We are in this together. And through our dedicated chefs in our culinary team, like Chef JC Lopetegui, who is focused on delivery, he really provides this chef-to-chef support like virtual ideations, Instagram lives, and so supports them with, for example, food safety as food travels off-premise, time-saving ingredients, since often there is reduced staff, as well tips for beverage experience to increase the ticket price. It's really been valued as there's a lot to juggle for the chefs today.
Hi, my name is Joe Adney. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Black Bear Diner. So Black Bear Diner really was not a huge proponent of using delivery and off-premise. We were all about the experience in the diner. That obviously changed, and now we had to sort of pivot in how do we deliver the best possible experience for our guests. I have to tell you, DoorDash in particular and delivery has been a huge, really godsend for us. We have seen our off-premise business basically triple, and a lot of that was driven by delivery, and in particular, our work with DoorDash. You know, our guests decide when and how they want to experience your brand. And so for some of them, coming in makes sense. For others, they weren't coming in anyway. So we wanted to take advantage of those occasions.
Thank you, Joe. And to every operator, let's grow together as we will continue. Whether that will be support like the partnership you've just seen and heard, or upcoming masterclasses and webinars we set up for those seeking for practical support. We also welcome you to stay connected, like the 10,000 of operators, through our daily communications, through email, our website ufs.com and social. Our content focuses on tips that will help you now and what's coming tomorrow. Thank you to all our customers that shared their appreciation so far. And for those we had not yet the pleasure to do business with, feel free to contact us.
We are chefs supporting chefs.
We're here for you.
Hi, Anav.
Yay!
Glad you could join us.
If that gives me an agenda.
Technology, and it's 90 degrees in New Jersey today, as I can attest as well.
I don't care. I'll take it.
So what was your biggest learning lesson from this community experience?
So, first and foremost, what we showed was just one pillar of everything we did around delivery and takeout, helping operators pivot really quickly to another revenue stream. And the big takeaway is that when you have big companies like us and operators like our customers who are leaning in, it's a win-win situation. So we can move faster and do better things, greater things together.
Great. So we'll talk a little bit more with you in our Q&A section at the end. And we are now going to talk with Steve Solomon. So see you in a little bit. Our next presenter is Steve Solomon, menu strategist for the Mushroom Council, who will share another case study of community building with us. Welcome, Steve.
Hi there. Thanks, Anne. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to ask you what we're about to watch in the video.
Yeah, so obviously, we're a commodity board that represents all and it does education and promotion for all mushroom growers. Those growers had their own strategies for dealing with their customers. Ours was more overarching and was built around connecting, supporting, and then just overall building. Connect was about staying in touch. Support was about helping to keep some restaurants open and some staff retained where we could. And build was to continue partnerships, especially with our blend partners, around feeding first-line responders in the early days of the pandemic with better for you, plant-based and plant-forward meals. So that is the video.
Great, so let's roll it.
You all know how the meat mushroom blend makes iconic dishes more flavorful, nutritious, and sustainable. But we also realized during this pandemic that the blend could help our blended partners in other ways. So when it became apparent in early March that more and more restaurants were closing, it was time to not just taste good and be good, but to do good. Partnering with small and regional chains from Beantown to the Bay Area, the blend became a way to help restaurants stay viable by developing programs to feed first responders, the frontline heroes of this battle. Our first and primary partner was Be Good in Boston. Together, we donated thousands of Be Good's turkey blended burgers called the Turkey Medley, as well as Sunnyside Harvest Bowls with mushrooms as a vegan option to medical professionals at hospitals like Beth Israel and Mass Gen and other medical care facilities. Be Good worked with the City of Boston, Uber Eats, as well as the Red Sox Foundation and, of course, the Mushroom Council. As Lizzie Jenkins, Be Good's director of marketing, was quoted, "We have never felt more of a calling to live up to our company name, and we are grateful for the support from the Mushroom Council to provide this food for our local heroes. Mushrooms are not a superfood, but a hero food for the first responders in our area." We thank Be Good for that, and we are so happy to be able to use something good to feed those who are working 16 to 18-hour shifts and not seeing their families in many cases. The Mushroom Council's other collaborations were similar. In Cleveland, where we are partners with a group called Cleveland Independents, comprised of about 40 different restaurants in the area, these restaurants mobilized to do their part. Each has championed the Blended Burger Project and featured their own version of the blend. In this case, they coordinated their own deliveries of their blended burgers to frontline heroes all throughout Cleveland. Since then, the Mushroom Council has coordinated deliveries to hospitals, EMT personnel, police and fire departments in Western Pennsylvania, the Bay Area, and Knoxville, Tennessee. In Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania, we partnered with Burgers, which, while they were feeding those who saved lives, also allowed them to hire back several staff members to coordinate the donations. Burgers has been a strong advocate of the blend and has been a winner in the Blended Burger Project. In this case, where they were able to help themselves and help the frontline workers. The Bay Area had its own star in Heritage Eats. While this small chain had to close some of their restaurants, they kept one open to serve the community. They had recently introduced their blended burger, and now is the perfect time to distribute that new menu item to frontline heroes. Burgers were sent to Napa's Emergency Response Committee, police and sheriff departments, fire departments, and healthcare workers. We also know that Ben was named Napa County's Small Business of the Year by Senator Bill Dodd, partly because of the work that he did with the Mushroom Council, as well as his other work in the community. During these trying times, we have all recognized what the restaurant industry means to our communities. From Be Good to Heritage Eats, we appreciate all the work our partners have done to help their communities and to feed our frontline heroes. The Mushroom Council is so proud to be part of everything they and all the other restaurants that have struggled have done. We, like you, look to the future and hope to see such a critical industry get back to what you do best: serve good food and serve your communities.
What a great way to ensure that first responders have access to healthy food. Stephen and Nav, welcome back.
Thank you.
I think we've all learned a whole lot of things in a very short amount of time these last few months, right? So what from what we've seen and what you're doing now will turn into long-term strategy for you? Will these sort of efforts be part of what you're doing in the long term? Steve, if you want to start.
Yeah, as I said, we're a small board, right? And we know that what we did had a small influence, and it was just a ripple in really a large ocean of need. But we're not going to stop doing that community-based focused. We're just starting another one right now with another one of our partners. The key is that going forward, we want to help the industry innovate around plant-based and plant-forward meals to meet the needs of their guests and their community. That's why we worked with CIA to create the blend. That's why we're focused on the power of mushrooms and their immune boosting and superfoods properties. So we know that we can either do plant forward, or we can we can introduce whole natural plant-based foods to the menu. So I think that we're doing, and the things that Anav has been doing, create dialogue. They show respect for the business of the restaurants. They collaborate with partners, and they hopefully show that vision and expand that vision for a brighter tomorrow and a better future.
Great. And Anav, what is your long-term strategy with DoorDash or with other partners like that?
So, it definitely, it showed us that we can move faster. And the aim was always to really help our customers and to help the industry. I mean, we don't have a job if the industry is not thriving. But, it's not only DoorDash. DoorDash is the biggest player right now nationwide, and it's only one component of delivery. But knowing that, for example, delivery is going to stay with operators until reality or another normality kicks in, and maybe even after, as another revenue stream is help shift. For us, it's continuing to do that. Maybe not necessarily like that, maybe extend that. We would like also to see other people play like we did, because the more people that come in, the more we can help. This is not something that is proprietary to Unilever Food Solutions. So we have a lot of support also with operators around plant forward, around eating healthy with our products, how to pivot, even in a smaller, more efficient menu as people reopen, as operators reopen. How to pivot to offer those healthier options that we know the crowd and the diners are willing and craving, even in the post-COVID, and maybe new to an operator. But yes, definitely continuing with those efforts.
This is a great segue to my next question for both of you. In terms of, so thinking more strictly about Plan Forward, what does R&D look like for you from a Plan Forward perspective in the next 12 months, let's say?
So for us, R&D is a component of the overall company philosophy, and Plan Forward, either eating less meat or no meat, has been in the playground for a while. This is not new news. We have been, as you know, working with the CIA, sponsoring and trying to promote the news and help operators pivot into a Plan Forward. And again, it's not no meat, it's meat less reality. So, with our product, it's just enhancing that. We're going to be launching a new innovation around that in the next few months to go with our current portfolio, and just with the sustainability vibe that Unilever has in general and UFS in particular. We have also rolled our 7th generation very quickly into the realm of food service, to allow a cleaner label, more sustainable in the hygiene forum. So, for us, it's here to play. We're very happy that this trend is here to stay, and it didn't sink with the current crisis, and we're definitely going to propel it forward.
Great. And what about you, Steve? Your R&D is more closely with external in a way, right, with chefs. So what does that look like for you? And we have 1 minute left.
Okay, just really quick. Yeah, ours is really about concepts, right? So we need partners either from the industry and partners like, as Anav said, we've been working with the Culinary Institute of America and operators from around the country to really, again, just overall meet their needs in terms of whether it be plant-based or plant-forward. So if they're new iterations of the blend, that's great. If they're great new applications for mushrooms, we're happy to pursue those and explore those with operators and our other partners.
Great. Thank you both so much. And for anyone who wants to ask you more questions, talk with you about all of these and other topics, during the break, Enav and Steve will be in their respective booths, Unilever Food Solutions and the Mushroom Council. So go and meet them there at the break. And now we go back to Jackie.
Thanks very much, Anne, and also to Enav and Steve for this great discussion, showing us that even in times of crisis and uncertainty, collaboration and innovation can thrive. Continuing with our roundtable, we're now going from the very specific case studies of operators and suppliers collaborating together to a more macro look at how this pandemic has impacted our supply chains and how we can build more resiliency for the future. Rejoining me for this panel is Google's Michael Bacher, and we're also welcoming to the conversation Maisie Gansler, who is Chief Strategy and Brand Officer for Bon Appetit Management Company. Welcome back, Michael, and hello to you, Maisie.
Good to see you again.
You guys were having a good time in the backstage chat, so we're going to bring your chat forward to everybody here. Michael, let's start with you first. Can you tell us what food at Google looks like now and in the coming months as we sort of pivoted to this pandemic and people working from home? We know that the Food at Google program has really always been about taking care of Googlers, and I'm curious how that has adapted to this shift from working from home.
It won't surprise you if I share with you that it has been different over the last couple of months. As of today, we have a select number of offices around the world open. There's actually clear signs of hope in like China, in Taiwan, in South Korea, where life is really going back to somewhat of a good normal and where our offices are open again. And, you know, you start to see what hopefully will slowly move to the West. Around the world, in addition to the countries in Asia Pacific, we have a few offices open as well in Europe, in the US, and clearly our data centers. So we are still providing food around the world as we speak today. But we're really preparing for the return to office that will start at a much larger scale sometime in July at different sites around the world. And in the first phase, we're going to take a very conservative, a very moderate approach, is where we will bring a select number of individuals back, and we will offer a different type of food offering for the time being, where it will really be about safety and well-being. So it's going to be about packaged lunches, sandwiches, to-go salads, in really with the mindset of we want to provide something delicious and nutritious, but at the same time we do it in a way where both the provider, great partners like Macy's company and others, feel comfortable operating, and ultimately our users are going to be enjoying a healthy and delicious lunch.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned sandwiches. Of course, in week 3, we had a little session with Bill Billenstein from Guggenheimer and your colleague, Scott Giambastiani. Actually, we had great feedback from that session. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking for that sandwich innovation and how they can make grab and go in these lunch boxes sort of just as tempting, just as fulfilling, just as caring for their employees as, you know, the full spread had originally been in your programs. Maisie, Bon Appetit works across 33 states, various corporate, campus, and institutional settings. How have you worked with vendors and supply chains to adapt to these shifts? And sort of in a broader way, Bon Appetit has been such a leader in terms of better sourcing initiatives, and you've really led that in your time with Bon Appetit. How has that shift impacted the work that you're doing around better sourcing? Oh no, I think that I can't hear you potentially. Oh, maybe now, will you try again? No, can we do a quick try to pull out your headphones and see if that works? I know whatever you were about to say was going to be incredibly compelling and everybody wants to hear, so we want to make sure that they can hear it. And if it doesn't work to unplug your headphones, maybe try refreshing your browser. And we'll just give you another second to do that. We're gonna try to get Maisie back. Maybe Michael, if I can go back to you in terms of the working from home and Googlers working from home. Actually, Maybe I can sort of shift this question to you in terms of your better sourcing initiatives. Obviously, some of that happens through the partners that you work with, such as Bon Appetit and some of these other food service contract partners. How has that discussion worked for you, and how have you been working with those partners around making sure that your standards are still being met even as you shifted these operations?
I think it's twofold. So I think one is we have to acknowledge and to accept that times today are different. And I think we're in this in-between time where we have to bring people back to a work environment in a safe and inviting way. And knowing that, a little bit longer term, we can go back to where we were prior to COVID-19. So we'll make a clear distinction between what needs to get done over the weeks and months to come. And then by the time there is a vaccine or the potency of the virus is such where we can actually return to a normal set of life. Our broader aspirations have not changed. And I would even say it's the other way around. I think this virus has indicated that the need for a healthier population driven by just better food is more important than ever. I think the other one is the resiliency of our food system or food systems needs to be addressed as well. The last couple of months have clearly articulated or shown where we have gaps and risks. And I think that it's going to take us months, quarters to solve these opportunities in a systematic way. So look at it in different time horizons. Short term, we just have to do what we have to do in order then to focus on the broader challenges and opportunities, because each challenge can be turned into an opportunity to address both in a very systematic way.
I like that. I really like that idea of sort of the different time horizons that you were talking about, and recognizing that your goals for those different time horizons are going to adapt. Maisie, I think maybe we have you and your sound back this time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Great. So we were talking before in terms of how your better sourcing initiatives have been impacted, and sort of how you've been working with your vendors to shift to different operations across all of your various sites.
Yeah. So I think that we're still in the trough of the experience. The first piece was really about shutting down supplies. So we got a lot of inquiries about, are you having supply chain shortages? And the answer was no, because we need almost nothing. So of course we don't have shortages. And it's very easy to adapt if we're feeding 100 people on a campus, not 5,000 people. So in that shutdown period, the theme of this session is about supply chain resiliency. I saw two major problems with supply chain resiliency, and as relates to Plant Forward in particular. One is that with meat products, with traditional meat products, we were able to quickly move to freezing those products. And that infrastructure was there already. So while normally our spec would be for a humane certified fresh ground beef, we still were able to work with our humane certified supplier to slaughter the animals at the right time in their life cycle so that they still fit in the slaughter equipment, et cetera, and then freeze that product. And our chefs will have to adapt to using frozen beef for a short time versus fresh, but we can make that adaptation. A corollary does not exist in infrastructure for fresh vegetables. So while we saw a lot of farms not having the demand to harvest, what if we had the infrastructure in place to be able to process and preserve those vegetables the same way we do meat? Instead, we lost a lot of vegetables. So that's one piece. The other was that their supply chain didn't have flexibility to move between food service and retail. There's packaging issues, there's distribution issues, there's many things I'm sure I don't know about because I don't know anything about retail. I've always worked in food service. But the supply chain didn't have the resiliency to flip between the two, where we saw this intense downturn in food service. At the same time, there was this increase in retail. And again, people looking for more self-stable products So if we had been able to process those vegetables at small farms and large, could the supply chain have reacted better for everyone and kept vegetables at the forefront of the plate?
Mm-hmm. And how is that, and this question is for either one of you, both of you, seeing those kind of stressors, seeing those gaps, and obviously somewhat it became more specific to the pandemic, but these are gaps that have existed in the supply chain already, right? The pandemic just kind of amplified the issues and the urgency of them. Having seen those now, how does that impact how you think about going forward in whatever, as we sort of go back to normal or new normal or what we're looking into? How does that change how you think about either your vendor relationships or, you know, your requirements for working with partners or vendors? How has that impacted your strategy going forward?
Lisa, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think that we don't know yet. Where we are right now in our trajectory as a company is figuring out how we're going to serve in many more places, many fewer people, and then how do we slowly build up. And so the sustainability initiatives, the reinventing of the supply chain still speak to who we are as a company and speak to our values, but they are sadly going to get pushed down the road a bit because we have this of how do we reinvent our business and how do we serve the right people in the right places, the right kind of food today. And so we don't even have the capacity to start talking about building different supply chain infrastructure. But I hope that we do get there, be it 6 months from now or at another point in time.
I think building upon that, Macy, to me, it is starting to think through as well. How can we become better partners, more integrated partners, and to think through we all need to become part of a more resilient food system. And I think we have to appreciate and enjoy when things are going really, really well. And I think we have to be there for each other during these very hard times that we're going through as of today as well. And then to start to think through, so how do you ultimately create a much stronger partnership with your core suppliers, but without making your core suppliers fully dependent on you? Because I think we've seen that as well, is that some of the great suppliers we indirectly work with we're very dependent on probably a small number of large accounts, and that works really, really well when all goes well. But during these times when there's just nobody there, what do you do? And then who owns that responsibility? So I think it's what can we do together to really to think about the resiliency, alternative use cases, and then this there really needs to be for it to be such a clear distinction between food service and food retail. And then maybe, and it might be really early, but how do we make sure as well that what we are learning today is going to stay with us? Because a year from now, when things are back to a new normal, it's how do we make sure that we are prepared for the next whatever that might be, because there will be more crises in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree, Michael. And I think an important point is in all of our emergency planning up until now, it was all about feeding more people with limited resources, people that were going to be either on the college campuses, not able to ever go home, or corporate people. If you go back to like Y2K, even it was feeding people around the clock. We never planned for what happens when you stop feeding people. And even our technology systems weren't built for that. We've got data centers within our system calling on each other that are all in data returned. You know, we didn't restaurant apocalypse.
That is an intense term. It does feel like a restaurantopocalypse apocalypse in this time. Unfortunately, we're out of time for this conversation, but thank you so much, Michael and Maisie, for joining us, and hopefully you'll continue to join us in the system so that people can chat you directly and ask their questions of you. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us. I think before I turn it back over to my colleague Anne, one thing that really strikes me about this conversation and the whole roundtable that we've just embarked upon is hearing about the need for creativity and flexibility. And that seems to be, from what I'm hearing, kind of the key to this resiliency that we're looking for, both in our current crisis, as well as sort of this longer term crisis that we've been talking about and that Michael certainly talked about as well, in terms of climate change and how we're building for sustainability. So it's been really gratifying and really inspiring to hear all of these different stories of operators and suppliers coming together, working together, how farmers can be adapting to new challenges, and how operators can be doing that as well. So next, I'm going to be welcoming back Anne, is coming back to the stage to introduce our next and final part of the segment of this morning's programming.
Indeed. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Maisie and Michael, for talking so candidly about what the future looks like for your teams and the supply chain. All of these conversations are really only just starting, I think, as Jackie made clear. So we are now embarking on one more culinary adventure, heading to Ghana via London to meet up with Zoe Ajonio, the chef owner of Zoe's Ghana Kitchen in London and author of Zoe's Ghana Kitchen, the cookbook. Zoe will host a Meet the Author at the break, during which you'll be able to ask her tons of questions, buy the book, chat her up, anything you want for the break. Since the pandemic started in London, Zoe turned to feeding healthcare workers, providing nutrition, comfort, and flavor thanks to her Ghanaian dishes. And in September, she'll be moving to New York and will run her Supper Club series Sankofa here, and we cannot wait. We're going to start with a video of a culinary demonstration of suya with vegetables that Zoe has filmed for us, and then Zoe will join us here on stage for a chat. So let's roll the video.
Hi there, my name is Zoe Ajonio. I'm a chef and writer from London. You're joining me in my kitchen at home. Welcome. Hi. 10 years ago, I founded Zoe's Ghana Kitchen, which is a food business with the aim of celebrating and championing West African cuisine, celebrating all those amazing flavours and bringing it to a new audience, but also showing its existing audience, new ways in which they can experience their cuisine and flavours. Now, not many people will realise this, but we do have a very plant-forward diet in Ghana. One of the things I'm excited to share with you actually is suya spice. Now, suya is one of these beautiful spice blends. It might sound complicated because it does have 7 or 8 ingredients, but they're all store-cupboard ingredients for the most part. But when you add suya to any dish, actually, it's such a versatile, beautiful, deep-flavoured, complex spice rub. It works so well, obviously, with meat, which is what is commonly used for in Ghana. Suya being not only the spice blend, but also the method of cooking, which is on coals. Quite often that would be goat meat or ram or chicken on coals. But I have found that, suya works super well on lots of different vegetables. So whether you're barbecuing, grilling, making salads, if you think about the ways in which you use Cajun spice, if you think about the ways you might use Old Bay, for example, these kind of store cupboard staples, or even harissa, these kind of deeply sort of complex flavor profiles that just lift dishes, even by adding just a teaspoon. You don't need lots. It delivers really bold, big flavour in small amounts, and so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to play around with suya. I'm going to show you how to make my suya blend, and then we are going to grill, saute, bake. So we're going to make a suya vegetable medley, if you like, which could appear on a lunch menu or a brunch menu, or any of those things could also be a side. So in front of me we have, let's do the spice blend first, suya. So the most key ingredient here is peanuts. This is really like the base flavour for suya. It's all about the peanuts. So I'm making quite a big batch of this because I like to have a store, like a jar of it in my pantry anyway. So we've got quite big quantities, but obviously it's sealed in a tight container that's going to last for 3 to 6, 9 months, depending on how fresh your origin spices are. And so we've got peanut powder, 100 grams. We've got some paprika. We've got dry ginger, we've got brown red pepper, which you could also substitute for cayenne pepper. We have nutmeg, we have grains of paradise, which are this beautiful, tiny peppercorn, also known as alligator pepper. I believe it is widely available in the States. You can get it online in the UK and most places online. We've got onion powder, we've got garlic powder. I've got a bit of okra salt here, which is one of my own blends. So dehydrated okra mixed with some coarse sea salt. Especially good on meat, by the way. I know we're not doing meat today, but it's especially good on meat. So yeah, we're going to build those spices together. We're going to finish it with some fresh thyme, some fresh lime zest. We're going to layer up again with some fresh ginger and fresh garlic. And then we're going to apply that spice blend to some squash, summer squash. We've got some graffiti aubergines, and we're going to bake some kale. So we're going to first of all put the suya blend together, which is literally just, putting it all into a spice grinder, grinding. And then we will make some suya butter and coat, season and cook. Made a suya blend, the dry spice part of this. Of course you can do all of this with fresh ingredients, but in terms of just having it ready in bulk, off the shelf, dry spice mix works really well. So we've got that, you can see it's a lovely kind of pinkish red hue there, it smells fantastic. All those different spices coming through. Graffiti aubergine, mandolin it thin. For the griddle, also the squash, that's 1 heaped teaspoon, 2 heaped teaspoons, and in there is a tablespoon of fresh picked thyme, fresh garlic, mince that, a rocking table. Okay, so you just mince garlic, add that in, ginger. So these fresh ingredients are just that, they're just to bring out some freshness in the cooking really. You can also, if you like your food really hot, which I do, I sometimes will add a diced, de-seeded Scotch bonnet to this, especially when cooking on fire, and lime juice. Some groundnut oil. So my preference is to use groundnut oil because obviously it's going to also enhance the peanut flavour the peanut flavour in the spice blend. So I'm going to add about 50 ml to start. Just going to mix that into a nice paste. And that's our wet marinade made. Start with the squash, I think. I'm going to add some squash into here. And add 2 tablespoons of that wet marinade. Just make sure it's really coated. The smell is incredible. So you get some smokiness out of the paprika as well before it's even cooked. So the slices of aubergine, same thing. Okay, so I've got some heat on behind me. The griddle is warming up and this little saucepan is warming up. I'm going to make a really quick suya, about 25 grams. I'm adding a teaspoon ish of suya spice to the butter. Just going to work that in. A bit of complexity to a simple dish. That's kind of really what we're good at in Ghana Kitchen. It's like simple ideas building flavour. For the kale, we're going to bake that in that remaining suya mix. Just going to toss these leaves. Take a bit of this butter now. The kale shouldn't need long in the oven. I'm going to spread that out on a baking tray. A little bit of this butter actually to the griddle pan. A couple of aubergine. And the kale's going to go in the oven. So on gas mark 8, 5 minutes. So in the brown butter, which obviously just took a minute or less to achieve, pan fry some, saute some scallions, just cut down the middle, clean, then slice lengthways down the middle. Squash and aubergine aren't going to take very long. Beautiful sizzle. And yeah, I guess I really want to emphasise just how versatile the Suya spice mix is, you know, like, so we're treating it here on the squash and the aubergine, spring onions, but as I say, cauliflower, sweet potato, cabbage, collard greens, spring greens, I mean any seasonal veg at all, in fact. You can use it as a dry marinade, a wet marinade. Suya is the king of barbecue. That's opened your minds a little bit to new ways to enliven vegetables. Okay, back in a sec to plate. So we've got our crispy Suya kale here, aubergine, and squash, more aubergine. Garnish that with some roasted Suya cashews, a bit of lime zest, hibiscus salt, parsley, shito mayo, made with smoked crayfish, smoked prawns, really deep, deep flavours. And that is a warm salad, warm Suya salad. Which will do nothing but warm you up. So Suya, the odyssey of Suya, all the things that can be done with it. You can roast lots of meats with it obviously as well, loads of fish, but it is fantastic on veg. So there you go. Thanks for your time, thanks for watching, bye-bye.
Thank you so much. And you can find the recipes for the Suya and the shito mayo on the resources on the website. Hi, Zoe. Welcome.
Hi, Anne. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm as well as, yes, I'm good. I'm going to say good. For now, that's where I'll leave it.
Okay. We'll leave it at that for now. Why don't you tell us about some other examples of plant-forward Ghanaian dishes? And obviously some kind of have seafood, some meat. What's the most traditional?
I should be able to run them off, shouldn't I? I've got a cookbook full of them. So we've got, well, first of all, let's just start with something as basic as plantain, because over the course of the 7 weeks of plantain ripening, you can cook it in 100 and maybe 200 different ways according to that, you know, the stages of starch turning to sucrose, and you'll get a different integrity, a different flavor profile and things like that. So just in the veg itself, even yam or cassava, taro, all in sweet potatoes, like the leaves and roots of these things are edible, yeah? So, and you know, the Ghanaian philosophy is basically zero waste. I think, you know, Selassie talked last year about wele, cowhide, for example, not even going to waste. So yeah, spinach and egusi, contomere, groundnut soup. You can have very often. I mean, sometimes you have that as a surf and turf, but you have smoked mackerel in there. You know, with some land snails or forest snails, things like that. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody eats that all the time, but it's part of the diet, you know. But yeah, we've got a huge amount of fantastic fruits, vegetables, and you know, meat is eaten obviously, but we do have, especially in Accra, we have that amazing coastline. So there's lots and lots of, you know, barracuda, mackerel, as I said, which is sweetly called salmon sometimes in the market, but it's not. It's mackerel. You know, catfish, tilapia. In fact, any seafood you can get, you know, prawns, shrimp, and all of those things are smoked and preserved as well. And then they're used in different stages of cooking. They're used as stocks and flavor enhancers. So even in, you know, vegetarian or vegan stews, and most of these recipes are also happen to be vegan actually, apart from they might use a smoked fish or smoked crayfish as a stock or a bouillon. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we have a wealth of plant forward. And obviously, I've not even mentioned the grains.
I was going to ask you about grains, so thank you.
The grains and the pulses, you know, fonio, millet, obviously rices, even though they're not indigenous, and you know, bambara beans, cowpeas, honey beans, sorry. So yeah, there's a huge amount of and variety of plants, and very often, you know, meat is for many people still kind of a special occasion. Consumer item, sadly.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about baobab.
Baobab. Oh, and I didn't even get to the superfoods. Baobab is this beautiful So baobab is a tree, and the fruit from the tree, it dries on the branch. Once it's dried, it's ground. You can eat it fresh actually, but it's quite often dried and ground into a powder. And then it has these, next level amounts of antioxidants and groups of B vitamins and groups of A vitamins, and the same for moringa. Moringa leaves are used in stews as well, but Western society has caught on to a few of these ancient medicinal tricks, and now you can get very easily get baobab and moringa in any health food store because they have such amazing health properties. And even in micro doses, moringa is essentially West Africa's spirulina or wheatgrass, that type of high density, nutritious antioxidant kind of ingredient. And we just made focaccia with moringa yesterday, and it was absolutely delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was going to tell everyone to make sure to check out your Instagram, because you're constantly posting about ingredients, about dishes, about recipes. And obviously you'll be serving a number of those in the US starting in just a few months, right?
I hope so, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, very much so.
Great. So I will let everyone who has questions for you go and meet you in the Meet the Authors in the break, which will be in about 15 minutes. You can buy Zoe's cookbook there, which is absolutely wonderful, and I really encourage you to do that. And you can continue asking her about Ghanaian superfoods, about all sorts of great recipes. So Zoe, thank you for being with us from London, and see you soon. Before offering some concluding remarks about the summit, I want to quickly run through the logistics of the break, which will start in about 15 minutes. Sorry, in about 10 minutes. We have a range of ways for you to engage with everyone who is also attending today, from your peers and suppliers to the presenters. And don't forget to look also at the People tab on the right of your screen. If a red dot is there, it means that you have messages. So don't miss your messages. Today's the last day you can get them. And also send messages to people. The networking break will feature a culinary demo by Amanda Cohen of Dirt Candy, which you can access via the sessions button on the left of your screen once it starts in about 10 minutes again. A reminder to share your audio and video when you join a booth or a session so that you can be face-to-face with the people there who love to see you. And networking also allows you to chat one-on-one with another attendee for just 4 minutes, quick and commitment-free. During the Sponsor Expo, you can visit the booth of our wonderful sponsors. There are new ones every week who are making possible to host this program tuition-free. So please support them. Thank you. And of course, you can go and meet Zoe in her booth and ask her tons more questions about Ghanaian food. Don't forget that by participating in the networking break activities, and in the last 5 weeks, you'll be entered in a raffle to win free registration and travel to next year's conference in Napa. Our winners from last week are Brennan Bush, who won free registration, Mary Moult, who won Christina's cookbook, and Sonara Sekaya, who won Subir's book. And you just saw a slide about the evaluation. So we welcome your feedback for next year's conference, which will be in person, however. So, but please do that. Before the break activity open, and before we head to the kitchen for the cook-along, allow me to share some parting thoughts and some thank yous. When we decided in mid-March to turn the second Global Plan Forward Culinary Summit into a virtual conference, we asked for your thoughts. Thank you to all of you who took the time to respond to that survey. In addition to the hundreds of you who have spent time with us here in our conference platform, more than 20,000 of you have tuned in through our live stream on our website and on Facebook and have watched the videos on YouTube. 3 months ago, we were propelled into the future. In looking for the right platform, we had 2 chief concerns: keeping the culinary and the community aspects of our in-person conferences front and center. We wanted you to be able to have the conversations, the casual collisions, the networking opportunities you get to have in Napa, while also watching culinary demos with chefs and experts from all over. In a way, while those questions took a huge amount of work to address and work through week after week and cost our team a lot of sleep, those were the easy problems to solve. Since March, the world has been nothing but a moving target. Even in the 5 weeks we've spent together, everything has continued to evolve. Many of you have had more time at home and with your families than you might have had in decades. Many of you probably have made sourdough, banana bread, or regrown scallions on your windowsill. Many of you have used these weeks to interrogate how you can further push sustainability and plan forward in your operations. The very word sustainability has taken an ever greater meaning. The pandemic exposed fragilities in the food system, food industry, and restaurant industry that we all knew existed. We knew just how breakable, how unsustainable was a system relying on exploitative labor practices, on monocropping, on monopolies, on below living wages. However, no matter how tenuous, this system seemed impossible to change much. It was our system, for better or for worse. The pandemic has offered us a chance to start from scratch and to do better. I'm not happy it happened this way. Close to 114,000 people have died in the US alone. We've lost friends, relatives, colleagues. We are not out of the woods yet, and we cannot yet quite speak of a post-COVID world. Much of the future, even short-term, remains completely unknown. But it happened. And we must take this opportunity to rebuild not just the same industry, but one that will ensure that you can turn a sustainable profit in your operation, a profit that allows for everyone in the industry to have a fairer chance at a more just, more economically viable, a little bit easier life. An industry that puts the health of its employees, its customers, and its planet at the center. As we've seen week after week, the good news is that the Plan Forward world abounds with opportunities. This virtual summit has been a story of optimism, positivity, and hope. A story filled with inspirational leaders who are paving the way. We started with Dominique Rennes, Kyle Connaughton, and Bill Corbett speaking of the climate imperative that drives what they cook and how they construct their operations, and how they've expanded to cooking their food for their immediate communities. Access to delicious, healthy, sustainable food should not be the privilege it has too often been. And chefs like them have decided that by broadening their reach, they can have an ever greater impact on the future of our planet. Creative Plan Forward, not for the few, but for the many everywhere. As we heard from Amanda Topper at Mintel, that while most Americans are omnivores, 63% follow a diet that cuts back on meat to some degree, in a majority to be healthier because plants taste good or to add variety to their diet. We've looked at the potential of plant-forward foods from traditional cuisines of the Mediterranean, Asia, and Ghana just now. Remember Paul Bartolotta's artistry with artichoke, Michael Costa's Brussels sprouts with Lado Lemono, Aglaya Cremezzi's vast survey of plant-forward dishes of the Eastern Mediterranean, and my fam's similarly rich overview of plant-forward dishes of Vietnam and Thailand, Daniel Olivella's Catalan Samfaina, Pratik Sadhu and Suvir Saran opening the door to the regional cuisines and ingredients of India, from the morels of Kashmir to the endlessly versatile jackfruit. What these traditional cuisines have in common is that animal proteins are not absent from them, by far. From olive oil poached branzino to grilled lamb, from ground beef to chicken kebabs, there is room for everything on the menu. Many of our presenters, whether in restaurants, in high-volume operations, in college dining, in non-commercial food service, offer meat as a side dish or use it as a condiment, and present it as such on the menu. In an event context, for example, that might mean creating visually stunning large platters of vegetables and grain, as Abra Barons does in Michigan, to literally give them center stage, and serving meat in smaller platters and portions. And what about sandwiches? Rich Londo and Bill Billenstein made celery root pastrami, cauliflower banh mi with a mushroom walnut pate, roasted carrot choripan, and a smoky mushroom BLT. And remember Ali Bouzari telling us that to increase the umami features of plant ingredients, we can rely on meat-associated savory cues, such as smoking, grilling, charring, which leaves, to use his term, a trail of breadcrumbs for your brain that will make diners relate a plant-forward dish with what they previously might only have thought of in relation to animal protein. Plant Forward does not have to be complicated or use rare ingredients. Chefs like Amanda Cohen, Abra, and Stephanie O'Dev revel in taking basic, affordable ingredients like onions, zucchini, and broccoli, and preparing them in accessible ways that they can share with their guests to inspire them to cook that way at home also. You can impact the health of your customers long after they have left your dining rooms. We have also learned about the power of stories in engaging customers in change and getting them excited about eating more plants, and in getting journalists interested in what you do. Never underestimate the power of creating a narrative around your plant-forward menu items, a narrative of history, geography, tradition, innovation, flavor that you can share with your guests, whether they are rush students or employees grabbing something to go, or a couple on a leisurely date night. Whether you share by talking to them, through signage or menu notes, or just through the deliciousness of your dishes. It does not have to be complicated to be impactful. Never stop learning from other chefs and cooks, from cookbooks, from Instagram. Learn from the source. The more curious you are, the more curious you will make your customers, and the more you'll be able to expand the plant-forwardness of your menu. Collectively, you all feed millions every year. Any change that you make will have a gigantic impact. A delicious, sustainable, in all senses of the word, impact. So on behalf of my co-program director, Jackie Chi, and me, and of everyone at the CIA, I want to offer our first thank yous to you. You've been an incredible audience as you plunged into this new world with us without thinking twice, welcomed our presenters with such warmth, asked thought-provoking questions in the chats and on screen, engaged with such enthusiasm with your peers and with our partners, and have been so open. We are so thankful to you for spending these last 5 weeks with us. As I keep going with the thank yous, I hope you will join me in the chat as a form of virtual clapping for all these amazing people. So let all loose. I want to start by thanking our sponsors for their incredible support of the CIA's very first virtual conference. And let's give a virtual round of applause to all of our presenters who've joined us from near and far. And the entire CIA team, with special shout outs to Christina Adamson, Shara Orem, and Caitlin Petruccelli, who operate behind the scene and make it so easy for Jackie and me to be here in front of you. They've tackled what seemed impossible at the end of March, mastered new technologies and countless challenges with the most creative solutions and always a smile. You can now hopefully go and get a few good night's sleep before the next round. I'll remind you once again that you can find all of our Plant Forward resources at plantforwardkitchen.org, including recordings and recipes for all 5 weeks of the program, and our Plant Forward by the Numbers report. We look forward to seeing you next on the screen, July 22 to August 26 for Menus of Change, and in Napa in person next week. Not next week. We need a little more time for that. Next year, April 21st through the 23rd for the 2021 Global Plant Forward Culinary Summit. And here's how you can stay in touch with us in the meantime. Post your shakshuka photos today, and then all of your great Plant Forward creations anytime. And don't forget to tag us so we can repost. Now on to the break, and then the cook-along at 11:50, 2:50, where we'll be making shakshuka with Tony Sakaguchi and Brad Barnes. You got the recipes, and come and cook, and then we'll have lunch together. So have fun, meet lots of people during the break, and then come cook and eat. And thank you so much again.